contracts, as Senator Stewart raised, not to chill future negotiations with other private investors who we want to come into Virginia under its successor statute, the PPTA, which we think would have a very detrimental effect if you pass this bill. Now, shall to May, you may say no big deal. But if you go with May, you've offered, the way this bill was written, no guidance at all to the SEC as to what the criteria would be. So we would just ask that you let this law run its course through the end of 2019. We are more than willing to work with Senator Wexton and other legislators in that area to try to come to a compromise, again, that will offer a long-term solution to the motorists and to the investors in the Greenway.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Senator White.
You've indicated that there would not be any standards for the State Corporation Commission. Isn't it correct that if this bill passed, we would simply go back to the original contractual standards, which include things like a reasonable rate of return as determined by the Commission, benefits obtained, things of that sort? So that would be my first question. Those are the provisions that were really contained in the original contract, weren't they? And
well,
we go back to
it doesn't say, the bill doesn't say the SEC may use its discretion and apply those three criteria. It just says the may. And I don't know where the SEC stands on this, but to me, that brings into the equation the very uncertainty that the General Assembly in 2008 was trying to eliminate. And eliminate the risk of even higher tolls under that analysis of those three criteria.
Senator White.
just looking at the new criteria that were added in 2013, I just wonder whether individuals on Social Security would not be ecstatic if they knew that their Social Security would go up by Consumer Product Index plus 1% or by 2.8%, whichever is higher. I mean, they would be dancing in the street. You see 80-year-old people dancing in the street saying, my gosh, I'm gonna, my Social Security is gonna ramp up forever because I've got this guaranteed rate of return. And that's the problem we're having, is we're having this automatic ramp up in tolls, which are already substantial, and that was not in the original contract. This was something that was plugged in by the General Assembly in 2013.
Well, anything well could have happened if you did not have this General Assembly compromise with the Greenway. The Greenway could have been sold after 2008. Who knows how much? Who knows how much more debt could have come? But investors could say, we can meet this criteria and we'll get our money back. The 2008 legislation prohibits that from happening. That was a concession, one of 5 concessions that the Greenway made in order to bring some certainty to this. If the Greenway were to have been sold in this 7-year time frame, none of the price could be factored in for sold. They gave that up. So this is a two-way street. It was negotiated in good faith. It's got a 7-year shelf life, and we just respectfully ask that you let the law run its course. And I appreciate Senator Wexton submitting the bill. I understand this initiative with her folks, but a deal's a deal.
Senator White.
One more. But isn't it true that in fact the Greenway has been sold several times, and that in fact each time it escalates the amount that's paid in tolls because they're paying higher amounts than the original? So in other words, they're making a profit each time, and then these new rates, these automatic increased rates that took place in 2013 are further escalating this beyond, each time we store it, we sell it at a higher price, and then it automatically ratchets up. We sell it again, it automatically ratchets up. It doesn't bother me that it gets sold again. It's supposed to be a free market, let it be a free market. The problem that I have is this automatic ratcheting up. And I don't know any other provision in law that gives a business an automatic ratchet up like this one does.
Well, again, it was part of the compromise, and there had been sales prior to that time. There had been discussion about the tolls going up as a result of those sales. Not sure whether or not there was a direct correlation or not, but the fact is that 2008 prohibits any subsequent sale from its price being reflected in toll increases, and that was a major concession by this company.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes, you've been waiting so long. You want to weigh in on this? Choose your side, Carol. Go on.
Mr. Chairman, Mary Beth Coyle, the Northern Virginia Association of Realtors, representing Northern Virginia and the Dallas Area Association. We just wanted to stand here in support of Senator Weston's bill. I think the points have all been made, so I won't reiterate them. We all are used to paying tolls in Northern Virginia, a lot of tolls. This road is unique in that there's no distance pricing. I can go one exit or I can go the whole length of the way, and I pay the same price. You're not going to the regular toll road is going to DC, and I add the extra. We would support the ability to let the state corporation commission have that flexibility.
Any other questions? Senator Weston, would you like to wrap up with you?
Chairman, my name is very briefly. There's a reason that this is the only road that was constructed under the Virginia Highway Corporation Act. There's a reason we moved on to the P3s, but this is a situation that we have in Loudoun County, and we're going to have to do something about it. Got lulled in with these zero coupon bonds to keep the tolls low when it was first built, and then they've been ratcheting them up ever since. But by then all the houses are built, all the people have moved in, and our roads are completely relocked. We really have a huge problem. We're always going to, and the other problem is that we're always going to come before this committee, and you're going to say, well, this is a private road. We're not going to tell a private entity what to do. And that's one of the reasons that we don't have any other roads constructed under this statute. And we've got to do something about it. The time has come, and I've just asked that the report be done.
Sure. Any discussion? Okay, committee operates by motion.
Move the report.
Second. Second, it will be reported. First call roll.
Senator Norman.
No, by proxy.
Senator Newman. Senator Owen-Chain. Proxy. Senator Dibble.
No.
Senator Stewart.
Yes, by proxy.
Senator Stanley.
Yes.
Senator Cosgrove.
No.
Senator Chapin.
No.
Senator McDougal. Senator Black.
Yes.
Senator Sturman.
No.
Senator Sasslaw.
Aye.
Senator Nance.
No.
Senator Lucas.
No.
Senator, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Weston.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, we're just going to, unless anyone objects, we're going to reverse the vote. Senator Peterson, you're next.
Sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, this is Senate Bill 1095-1095, and it is a follow-on to a piece of legislation we passed a few years ago, which the chairman carried, which is Senate Bill 1349. It has to do with electricity regulation in Virginia. That bill we passed in 2015 did a number of things, and I don't want to try and reduce it because it had a number of different purposes, but one of the points that it did do was a suspended rate review for our for-profit utilities that provide electricity, most significantly Dominion Power and Appalachian Power. And the reason that was given for the suspension of the rate review was the fact that there was a clean power plan that had been proposed in 2014 by the Obama administration and then was later implemented in 2015, was subsequently the target of a number of suits by state attorney generals, was then suspended in 2016, and with the incoming Trump administration, looks like it will be dismantled as the new head of the EPA has already been one of the plaintiffs in the suit against it, and it looks like it will not be around at this time next year. The reason why I'm bringing this bill forward now and why it's timely now is that we have suspended rate review, and that suspension has been in effect right now, and that's having a real cost to our consumers in Virginia. And when I use the word consumer, I don't just necessarily mean homeowners, I mean businesses, and I mean industrial users. In fact, I have a memo that was given to me this morning by the Virginia Committee for Fair Utility Rates, which is a coalition of industrial users, which basically showed that the over-earnings that are being permitted right now, if it was broken down, if it was standardized and broken down per user, is $45 per year for a residential user, $1,232 per year for a commercial user, and $34,563 for an industrial user. So a large industrial user such as Newport News Shipbuilding would be someone that would be paying significantly more electricity for their electricity bill than they would if there was an SEC review of these rates and if the rates were standardized down to their historic norms. Now, there's a lot of details to this legislation, a lot of details to the statute. My bill's quite simple. It simply says, we accepted a premise 2 years ago that the Clean Power Plan was going to take effect and it would have a negative impact on our electricity prices in Virginia. And I'm not here to argue that's true or false. I'm just here to say my legislation says if the Clean Power Plan does not take effect, or if it's dismantled, or if basically it goes away, which again with the new incoming administration I think is clearly the case, that this law will no longer take effect and the State Corporation Commission will again have jurisdiction on electricity rates in Virginia. Now, the State Corporation Commission has been around since 1902. It has 3 members, 2 appointed by Republicans, 1 by a Democrat, and the bottom line is I think they've shown they've been do a pretty competent job, them and their staff, and again, keeping rates low in Virginia. So my bill really takes, I'm agnostic in terms of what the right rate is. I know there's going to be an argument that our rates are lower than DC and Maryland. I can give explanations for that, but to be honest, I'm not an expert in this kind of stuff. There are people that do that. I think they ought to have jurisdiction on these rates. I have a number of witnesses here, Mr. Chair. I had a call on Friday afternoon with a colleague, a friend of mine who served in the state Senate and was Attorney General, Ken Cuccinelli. And he actually could not be here today, but he had a letter that he wanted to pass out, which I think speaks to some detail to what this law is actually costing us and why he supports the legislation I brought forward. I would ask that be distributed, if that's all right, Mr. Chair. And then, Mr. Chair, rather than ramble on, as I said, I'm not an expert in this topic area, but I do have a number of people here that are prepared to speak in support of my legislation. I would request that they have an opportunity to do so.
Is there any questions? Yes, Senator.
Senator Peterson, on the floor of the House when this bill, on the floor of the Senate when this bill was ultimately passed, there were a number of additional amendments that added in, as I recall, renewable energy and other items.
Right.
They were all part of a compromise piece of legislation. Does the legislation that you have before us today just repeal the one section, or does it repeal the entirety of that code section that was offered in the bill that we had in 2015?
You asked me that question a couple hours ago, Senator Newman. The way I read it is the entire piece of legislation we passed in 2015 would be suspended. So anything that's within 56-585.1 would be effective. And I have to go back to 2015 to see where those add-ons were, if they were in this statute or in another statute. But the way I read this, anything that was added to this statute, it will be suspended.
So if we amended different statutes, then it would not be included. It would have to be included in the entire act that occurred. And if they are, they're here. Is that your second question?
was saying, Senator Newman, I can't recall whether or not those were added to this section or to another section, but again, it would be to suspend the entire, what we did in 2015 would be suspended. That's my intent.
To answer the question, the 2015 legislation went to the Section 1 bill. The Code Commission then put it in the code. Parts of that legislation dealing with low income and other issues were not included in this section of the code. This bill amends what the transition rate period is.
Very good answer.
Outside.
Any other questions?
I have witnesses.
Sure, absolutely.
Mr. Chairman,
Dr. Bauer, good.
Citizen Pollard. My name is Albert.
The French Revolution.
My name is Albert Pollard. I live in Irvington, Virginia. It's good to see so many of you back here again. I used to tilt at 5 windmills a year. Now I tilt at 1 windmill every 5 years. I'm here as a private citizen. My business is an LLC. I make and sell affordable sawmill. We've gotten in 49 states and 12 foreign countries. The company that you might have owned, I've previously owned the majority stock in an S corporation. Obviously, Dominion and Appalachian Power Public Service Corporations, they're chartered differently. And very simplified, they're given an exclusive right to a service territory if they take all the customers in that service territory. And for that, they're given a guaranteed rate of return. Their profit is capped because they've got that social contract. When there's over earnings, then that money really doesn't belong to the utility. It should be returned to the ratepayer. The SEC is a very complex issue. I've heard some people say that over earnings, just trying to keep track as a private citizen, or $50 million a year. I'm not sure. I've heard some people say that it's $2.5 billion is what one large utility, or rather large group of industrial customers said. I don't know what it is, but it's over earnings and it does not belong to the ratepayers and not to the utilities. I thank the committee for their time. And my goal is to not be back here for another 5 years.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Brian Gordon. I'm speaking on behalf of the Apartment and Office Building Association and the Virginia Apartment and Management Association. Our members collectively own and manage a portfolio of roughly 145 million square feet of commercial office space in Northern Virginia and approximately 300,000 multifamily residential units throughout Virginia. So we are a significant ratepayer. We did oppose the bill 2 years ago in 2015 on the basis that we believe that the SEC should have the ability to look behind the window and see what earnings the company is making on the backs of ratepayers. The agreement that was struck at that time was for the ostensible purpose of providing regulatory flexibility to the company needed to comply with these impending federal regulations which have not been implemented. And if you believe the rhetoric coming out of the new administration, they will not be implemented. So we support Senator Peterson's bill, which it brings us back to the status quo prior to 2015, where again, if these regulations are not implemented, that deal will come off the table. So we ask for your support for this bill.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Daniel Williams, I'm with the Affordable Clean Energy Project, which is a project of the Virginia Poverty Law Center. We support this bill because for many low-income families, their utilities are just one more thing that they can't afford to pay. And if there's any chance that there's money that should go back to the ratepayer, we believe that it should go back into the pockets of those who need it the most, especially our low-income citizens. Thank you very much.
From the Attorney General's office.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. I'm E. Browder. I'm with the Attorney General's office. I do consumer counsel function for the office and the rate cases without state corporation issue on behalf of the ratepayers. As many of y'all know, our office had opposed the legislation in 2015. We felt that it was improper to prevent the SEC for monitoring the earnings of the monthly utility. We also felt it was not in the interest of ratepayers to sweep up the current rates based on SEC funds or above levels that the otherwise would be. The commission could carry out the provisions of the 2007 Regulation Act. As was stated, the EPA's Clean Power Plan was the stated reason for this legislation in 2015. If we accept that as the justification for it, as Senator Peterson explained, if that underlying regulation is to go away by whatever means, whether change in federal policy or going to be reviewed and vacated, then it's only logical that this rate freeze will also go away. I would say that we would support maintaining base rate reviews unconditionally, but this legislation sets it up as a conditional institution of the base rate reviews if this EPA regulation is removed. Senator Newman, you had a question, I believe Mr. Mundy answered it, but there were some additional provisions outside of the SEC rate making provisions that were added in the bill, declaring public interest, some solar renewable energy, and also the low-income energy efficiency program. Quite honestly, relative to the dollars that are issued in these base rates, and you spoke to that, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. Those other provisions are really small potatoes, and you're just not going to equilibrium in terms of what those provisions are. You might hear that currently.
Was there not also a provision that any costs associated with natural disasters would not be subject to reimbursement, but also that, we're going to stop over that?
Yes, Senator Wright, I believe, whether there's a specific provision or not, any costs that the company may incur that are not otherwise picked up in a rate adjustment clause, the company would be on the hook for that. Again, though, based on figures that the State Corporation Commission has published, at least for one of the utilities, we're looking at over $207 million annually in earnings above fair return. I'm not aware of any natural disaster that's on the order of $200 million in one single year that we incur in one single year. But if you're correct, that is a cost that's potentially out there. I'd just like to add also, you may hear about the current level of convenience rates as being somewhat lower than where they were a year ago. That's largely due to, or entirely due to a drop in the fuel factor. That's provisions on the books since the 1970s, dollar for dollar recovery. If the prices of natural gas and other fuels drop, then that's reflected in the rates. But that's not where the earnings come from. That's just a function of wholesale market prices for commodities. So the fact that rates may be about the same or maybe somewhat lower, that doesn't change the fact that the regulated earnings are above what they should be. The State Corporation Commission and no other utility commission in the country regulates utilities rates based on how they compare to where they were a year ago, or how they compare to other utilities in the same state or on the same coast of the country, or what have you. What they cost, what's the fair return, and whether they're was reduced. So again, we support to reduce this position.
I think that's the sum and substance of Senator Wagner, and I'll wait to hear. I know I've got the opposition to this, and I'll wait to respond to that. The one point I'll make is that when I talked to the lobbyists for Virginia, they said, well, there's still this climate of uncertainty. And I thought, well, we've had a climate of uncertainty pretty much every year this nation's been in existence. I mean, we had regulated rates during World War II, we had regulated rates during the Cuban Missile Crisis. We've had regulated rates, and the SEC has done historically a pretty good job. And again, 2015, I understand the premise that was given for that legislation. I disagree with it. I think that premise has changed pretty radically, and I think it's time to take a fresh look at this. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'm Bill Thomas, and I represent Virginia. And I have a few quick comments. First, I'd like to start off by going back and just doing a little bit of background and recap. Chad has done some of that, but first, this is not the first rate freeze that we've had. We some of it on the side of utility, much of it with regard to rates for consumers. That's the kind of uncertainty that we looked at 2 years ago. The Clean Power Plan bill, proposal, was actually a regulation in draft, Mr. Chairman, as you'll recall, 2 years ago. It was not a final regulation. Many people said at that time, we should wait and see what the final regulation is going to be. We need to make some. I'm wearing a heart monitor, and it seems to want to tell me that my heart is beating a little rapidly. Some would say they weren't sure I had a heart. We'll blame that on Senator Peterson. Let me just also point out to you that the existing legislation with regard to AEP expires at the end of this year, and with regard to Dominion, it's the end of 2019. Now, specifically, rates have gone down. Fuel adjustment clauses have been a major part of that rate decrease. But let me just say, good business management has also been a part of those rate decreases. I'd like to call your attention to some of the features of this bill, specific legislation. If you would look at the legislation and look at line 18, here are the things that we need to watch out for with regard to the Clean Power Plan. Whether a date occurs when, in line 20, the act is withdrawn, repealed, found by a non-appealable court decision to be invalid or unenforceable, or otherwise are legally barred from being implemented. Now, those are all various steps that might occur. Senator Peterson has said, well, with the new administration, they'll certainly happen. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But we won't be certain unless we, frankly, have some kind of literally a trial to determine whether that's occurred. That seems to me to be absolutely and completely unnecessary. Then if you go down and look at what happens if those things do occur, let me just say, one of the things that could occur on January 20th, the new president could send out a tweet saying that this was no longer enforceable. And my question is, does that meet the standards of this bill so that the transition rate period has elapsed? I don't have any idea. We could have a suspension. I think you heard Senator Peterson say that the new EPA director could suspend the regulation. We don't know whether that meets these criteria. And then finally, let me just call your attention to what happens if we have these events. And there's not question, we just all agree, the Clean Power Plan has been repealed. You look down in line 40, we find that that puts us back under the rate process, the biennial rate review. And the really interesting thing about this language is that the biennial rate review is for using the base year for the year when the transition rate period ends. That's when one of those acts occur that does away with the Clean Power Plan. It's that year, the actual year when that occurs, and the preceding year. Now, let's just take a little factual situation. January 20th, the president tweets, the Clean Power Plan is gone. And it meets the statutory criteria that are here. That means that 2017 is a base year for rate purposes in the biennial review. also means last year is a year. There are 2 years in the biennial review process that you look at as your base year. Now, you, at the utility, have been managing your business under the basis of Senate Bill 1349. You managed it last year, you've been managing it this year. The utility business is not the kind of business that you can turn on a dime. It takes a long time to do things, to plan them, and to put them in effect. And you now have found that the rules that you thought you were functioning under a base rate freeze for 5 years, no longer apply to everything you did in those 2 years that become your base year. All I can say is, if we thought, Mr. Chairman, when 1349 was passed, that we had uncertainty, if this bill passes, we will have complete uncertainty. Management will have no earthly idea how to plan, whether to plan under a freeze or plan for a rate case. Thank you.
Are there others who wish to speak either for or against?
Mr. Chairman, Ryan Dunn with the Virginia Chamber of Commerce. We supported SB 1349 in 2015. We had some concerns with this bill and reviewing the provisions in the bill that we really think were the strength of it. The regulatory uncertainty and developing rate stability was one of the real components of the bill that we were trying to accomplish, and we feel like those have been accomplished through 1349. Whether the Clean Power Plan is withdrawn or invalidated, there's still plenty of uncertainty, and I would actually press to say that it might be even more uncertainty right now as we figure out where we go with a new direction and new leadership. So what we did in 2015 seems to be working, and we ask your opposition to this stuff.
Thank you very much. Sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Danny Van Cleef. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer for Coronal Energy. We are a solar energy development firm based in Charlottesville, Virginia. And with due respect to the patron, we're here in opposition. Senate Bill 1349 was a comprehensive policy measure that included legislation which has worked very well for our industry, which is the solar industry. And I think it's also working for the many customers. And I'll just point out that despite being a Virginia-based business, up until Senate Bill 1349, 100% of our company's work was done out of state. We have operational power plants in 16 U.S. states, as far away as California and Oregon, and as noted until this year, as close as North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Maryland, Delaware, and New Jersey. Last year was the first year, however, that since opening our doors in 2007, we conducted and completed any major solar work here in the Commonwealth. So, speaking on behalf of our competitors, as well as our own men and women based here in Virginia, I would echo the same comments that this Senate Bill 1349 has prompted a dramatic increase in activity here in Virginia for the solar energy sector. And that takes, I can offer up one metric, which is until 2015, if you look at the number of large-scale solar projects under development or construction or operation, the number would be close to zero. By the end of this year, that number should be at least 400 megawatts in those categories. That's the equivalent of more than 3,000 acres of solar panels. For Dominion customers, it's already been noted that electricity rates are lower than they were in 2015, but that's not my area of expertise. My expertise is customers looking to go solar. And I would point out that the vast percentage of Dominion's work in the solar sector has been with customers who are opting in, who are choosing to go solar. Dominion calls this their ring fence program. And what it means is the solar power plants that are constructed, all the costs are borne by a specific customer, not by all 2.4 million Dominion ratepayers. So once again, this means that large energy users, public and private sector, are choosing to go solar, and they're paying for 100% of those costs. And that's a choice that they did not have, that they couldn't make practically until Senate Bill 1349. A number of folks have used the word uncertainty up here. I think that's entirely fair, and I'll close by pointing out that in 2015, there were significant uncertainties about national energy policy direction. The solar sector is maybe broken at the state legislative level for that reason, and I think it's fair to say that that uncertainty is as high as it ever was at the federal level. And so our industry looks closely at decisions that are made at the state level, and our future here as a member of the fastest growing sector of the energy economy rests heavily on this decision. So I appreciate you hearing my comments today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Donnie Ratliff, representing Contour Energy. The coal industry is the fuel supplier to the utility companies. We have never seen such a fragile situation as we have now. We're in uncharted water, over 50 companies filed bankruptcy. Uncertainty is the right word. Our industry is so fragile that we were involved in negotiations and legislation that passed 2 years ago. We were comfortable with that legislation. We're still comfortable with it today, and we would ask you to oppose the bill. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman? Yeah, I have a question for Don. Yes, sir. Your industry that you represent, does it have a position with regard to what this bill would do to that industry?
We just think that it would, we don't know what the trigger is. We don't know what's going to happen in Clean Power. We have a campaign promise, but everybody sitting up there knows what that's worth. We don't know. We've not seen the trigger. Until we know what we're dealing with, we're satisfied with what we have on the table today.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Matthew Mears. I represent Virginia Solar. We're a solar developer, utility scale solar, located in the west end here in Richmond. And frankly, we find that the bill passed 2 years ago was instrumental in getting the solar industry off the ground in the state of Virginia. My company was basically founded after that bill was passed. 2 years ago, we had no utility scale solar in the state of Virginia. And now there's close to 391 megawatts we expect to be built and operational the next year and a half. We've worked with Dominion on several of these projects, and our projects were approved under the legislation that was previously passed. And so, we've also worked with Dominion with their other large customers and to help them meet their corporate sustainability goals. So we've seen a flourishing of the solar industry here in Virginia at utility scale since the legislation was enacted. And frankly, I think we need more solar legislation, not less, and utility scale would obviously be less. So we think, from our point of view, we also do not want this bill to pass. We think the legislation is working. We've seen it as a very positive change for the Commonwealth of Virginia. And as everyone has said, we have no idea what's going on, and there's a high degree of uncertainty at the national level. And thank you for taking my comments today.
If you like this bill, you'll love 9 solar bills. I just voted subcommittee.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Clark Lewis, representing the Virginia Coal and Energy Alliance, will be brief. We also supported 1349 2 years ago as an opposition to the current bill. Regulatory certainty, Senator Chapin, as you mentioned, is very important to the Virginia coal industry and its partners. One of the provisions of this bill in the original 1349 that's not been discussed is that Dominion cannot permanently retire coal power stations in particular during the transitional rate period without the approval of the SEC. This is the first time the SEC has had such authority. Again, this is another example of regulatory certainty that the Virginia Coal and Energy Alliance and its partners very much support in the legislation the past 2 years. Thank you very much.
Okay, Senator Peterson.
Thank you, John. Mr. Chair, I appreciate you giving me the last word here. A couple things I need to clarify. This is not about a rate freeze. Yeah, we've had a rate freeze multiple times. This is about a freeze on suspension of review. In other words, SEC was not allowed to look at the books. That's a little bit different than a rate freeze. Secondly, these regulations continue forward until 2020 and 2022. Look at lines 35 and 39 of the legislation. So we're talking about several years where you're going to have refunds that are not being given back to consumers. I'll simply say that, you know, I didn't think I'd be here long enough, but, you know, you hear folks from the coal industry coming forward to ostensibly support keeping the clean energy plan in place. I mean, I would have thought that they'd be happy to see it go away. But apparently, we were, you know, 2 years ago, we were told this was because of the clean energy plan. Now the clean energy plan, according to everybody, is going to disappear. And yet, we're stuck with this legislation for several more years. Well, I speak for consumers, and that's what businesses and individuals. I'm amazed that the Virginia Chamber of Commerce will come here and fight like hell to prevent $1 an hour for people working for a minimum wage job. But by the same token, they're willing to pay $35,000 a year more for a factory for this electric bill. I don't get that. And trust me, that's not how I run my business. So I hear, you know, I hear the speakers. I respect everybody who's participated. I have great respect for the chairman. I know that was his bill 2 years ago. I didn't expect his bill to get a friendly reception. I can't do anything but bring it to you, and that's what I've done, and I thank those people who spoke on my behalf.
Thank you, Senator Peters. Any discussion? Committee operates by motion. TBI. Second. Yeah.
This. American Power and AEP have done a phenomenal job trying to keep their costs in control. But the fact is they've gone up by about 100% despite it all. And we just can't afford it. We just can't. We go to people in Bedford, Lynchburg, Campbell, and throughout Southern Arkansas. We just can't afford rate increases. And I voted against a lot of good bills I like down here, but they impact your rates, and so I'm inclined to support it. It was well intended, I think, in 2015, but I would hope that we would give the State Corporation Commission the authority to review these items if we're not going to have the owners regulation.
Do we have a motion to PBI? I'll second. So, clerk call.
This is the PBI.
PBI.
Senator Norman. Senator Newman.
To PBI, no.
Senator Overton. Senator Stewart. Senator Stanley. Senator Cosgrove. Senator Chadden. Senator McDougal.
Yes.
Senator Black. No. Senator Sturtman.
Yes.
Senator Sasslaw. Senator Dance. Senator Lucas. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well,
Senator Reeves, I think we can get you out of here real quick. You want to come to this back? But this bill needs to be referred. There's one issue on here. It's a fire alarm bill that we don't normally hear in front of this committee. There's one issue with regards to the alignment bill, and I think that if you agree that people or the business sell fireworks ought to be insured, that's one part of the bill. I would love to hear a motion to approve that concept that people sell fireworks ought to be insured, and then report the bill to general laws with the law. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pretty much summarize lines 104 through 106, what they require, at least in this bill. If you're going to operate this facility, which is what this bill is trying to do, that they must have a minimum of $5 million for the loss of damages or injuries that might ensue to persons or property as a result of the sale of fireworks.
That's it. Been moved and seconded. The bill be reported to be referred to the committee on general laws. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that bill is reported. Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senator Servo. Senator Servo, very nice to see you.
Great to see you, Mr. Chairman.
What bill do you have for us?
1125 and 26, right there.
Yes, the committee will pay attention to 1125. Senator Servo.
There's also a substitute committee could
vote, is there a motion on substitute? Moved and seconded that substitute be adopted. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Substitute adopted. Senator Sirko.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I couldn't quite understand the bill without substitute. There's kind of some graphic confusion. Now I think it's a little clearer. So basically, this bill is designed to try and close what some folks would call the open-end credit loophole. So back in 2009, this body decided to place some regulations on payday loans. And I think those regulations, have been mostly pretty successful. But what's happened is that a lot of the payday loan companies have started to use open-end credit loans to do the exact same thing they were doing with payday loans. And so they started to give a loan, an open-end credit loan, every month to folks. We financed one open-end credit loan with another one, and another one, and another one. Every month they had to pay a $100 new loan fee every month, on and on and on and on. So these open-end credit loans basically turned into payday loans. They just don't call them that legally. And the terms are the same, the people are the same, the lenders are the same. They're just debating the law we passed. And so basically all this does is says that open-end credit lenders are subject to the same restrictions we put on payday lenders that we put in place back in 2009. So if you look at, on the substitute lines 40 through 60, basically just says you can't do automatic debiting, you got to comply with the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, you can't have more than one loan at a time, you can't sue somebody for within 60 days, and you can't sell it. You can't sell it to the internet to a Virginian, and it's a violation of the Consumer Protection Act. That's basically all it says. It's just trying to close this loophole down so that people can't evade the law we passed in 2009.
Thank you. Are there those that are here to speak in favor of the legislation? Anybody? Well, you can identify yourself, please.
I do, we do support this bill, particularly because most of the businesses that are in the open-ended credit space are former payday lenders. And the restrictions that we're talking about are things like not being able to harass borrowers, as well as having to follow other tenets of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. And I just want to read you a couple of, a couple of comments from borrowers who call us on their business. I kept paying and paying on it, but the balance never went down, and a year after year of never missing a payment, my balance is higher than that of when I first started. And as far as the Fair Debt, for the restrictions under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act to be there, my family members also got phone calls as well. The worst was when I got a call saying that if I didn't pay the $600 that day, the sheriff was coming to arrest me. That would be not allowed under the payday loan or federal loan, but open-ended private lenders routinely use that kind of language about sheriffs coming, arrest warrants, that sort of thing. Those are the stories that we hear directly from borrowers. So we want those kinds of restrictions to be the same amongst all of it. It doesn't regulate the open-ended credit industry. It simply requires that they have to follow some of those same tenets.
Is there others in support?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Dave Irvin again with the Attorney General's Office of Consumer Protection. The Attorney General supports the substitute version of the bill. It's indicated the bill will make violations of the open-ended credit statute enforceable through the Virginia Consumer Protection Act, which we enforce. That law is enforceable through government action and also through private rights of action. The specific prohibitions here and protections are drawn from the existing law with the Virginia Payday Loan Law and the Motor Vehicle Title Loan Law. So those are pretty much adopted word for word. The problem here is that the open-ended credit product as it exists in Virginia now is largely unregulated. There's no licensing requirement. There is no SEC oversight of these particular entities. There's no interest rate limit that applies. The only thing that does apply under the existing law is that you have to have a finance charge for a 25 days, like a traditional credit card. We're aware of about 16 companies that are offering this product. 7 of those offer through brick and mortar location. 5 of those used to be former payday lenders that abandoned their license. 9 other companies we're aware of offer this over the internet. The interest rates, this bill does not affect interest rates at all. The interest rates that are being charged, however, are unregulated, they run the gamut up to, I believe, 399% is the highest rate that I've seen. That rate doesn't include other fees that are charged, origination fees, participation fees, annual membership fees, cash advance fees, transaction fees. When you take those fees into account, there are companies out there that are charging an effective 960% interest rate, so it's very high. This bill does not address those issues. It does place other consumer protections in effect. There are other bills out there that will address the interest rates and other fees and charges that are imposed. This bill, if these protections are put in place, would move the ball forward, would provide some small protections to Virginia consumers, level the playing field a little bit more. It's a step in the right direction, and we urge you to support the bill. Thank you.
The questions? Is there anyone else in support of the bill? Does anyone oppose the legislation?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Robert Corrado, representing Checking Cash again. I just want to walk you through a couple of things with the original bill, which is still in this. We're still looking at the parts that are new, that are drawing on different code sections that were not in the original bill. First thing I will tell you that draw you to Title 59 in the Code of Virginia, which is what the original bill was drawn to, which was the intent of the Virginia Act, of the Virginia Consumer Protection Act, and that was, it shall be applied as a remedial legislation to promote fair and ethical standards in dealings between suppliers, the word is suppliers, and the consumer public. And then if you advance to the exclusions that were included in that act, it excludes banks, savings institutions, credit unions, small loan companies, public service corporations, mortgage lenders, etc., that are regulated and supervised by the state corporation or a comparable federal regulated body. I will submit to you that our companies are small loan companies. We are licensed and go through the State Corporation Commission and are also heavily regulated by the Federal Consumer Financial Bureau. So what you're doing is it appears to me that there's a conflict with the current statute and the exclusions that are already in the Code of Virginia.
Any questions? Is anyone else opposed to the legislation? Any discussion? Okay, committee operate by motion.
Second.
Been moved and seconded for the substitute for Senate Bill 1125 be reported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No, no. Ayes, raise your hand. Aye.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Senator Servo, you have one right after, right, 26?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 1126, this has to do with another species of the same, subspecies of the same species, I guess. This has to do with internet loans. So, right now, in the state of Virginia, this would basically give the State Corporation Commission, we clarify that they have the authority to regulate internet lenders. Right now, there's a bit of a question as to whether or not the SEC has the authority to or doesn't. There are companies right now from India or Indian tribes, or there's entities in other countries that are going over the internet and making loans to Virginians Poverty Law Center has seen interest rates at 638%, 478%. They've even seen loans as high as 5,000% interest. They're being made over the internet to people in Virginia. This bill will basically make it clear that Virginia's Consumer Finance Act does apply to companies who make loans over the internet, and it would make it clear that the State Corporation Commission has the authority to license them. And by doing so, that would mean they are subject to the same interest rate caps and limits that consumer finance companies in Virginia currently have, so that these international or Indian tribe lenders can't run around and do things that our companies here in Virginia are not allowed to do. So I think it's needed to provide clarity. The Attorney General brought enforcement actions against 2 of them already, legal action against 2 of them, and this just makes it clear that we're allowed to do something about it. I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions for the paper? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor of the bill?
Jay Spear with the Virginia Poverty Law Center. I'd just like to point out that the language in the bill is exactly the same language that we have in the State 11 Act and in the Car Title Act. So we just took the same language and put it into this act.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Dave Urban, again with the Attorney General's Office. The Attorney General supports the bill. There are 3 significant positives that come from adoption of the bill. As indicated, the bill will require that anyone who is making a consumer finance loan over the internet to someone in Virginia, they are going to be covered by our consumer finance statutes. The State Corporation Commission has taken the position based upon existing law that the existing law does not cover those loans. That's because primarily this law has been on the books since 1918. The laws that have been adopted in more recent years, the payday lending law, the motor vehicle title loan law, those expressly cover internet loans. We know that there are internet companies out there, both brick and mortar companies that want to have an internet platform. There was a bill introduced at the last session of the General Assembly. Delegate Kilgore brought it on the House side. That did not be approved, but there's a company, Springleaf, that wanted to have the ability to make loans over the internet to Virginians. This would allow them to do so. Also understand that there's several other companies that are already making those sorts of loans, and they're not required to get a license because the current law does not require that. The second major thing that this bill will do is provide for a level playing field. This will make it so anyone who is making a consumer finance loan, whether in a brick and mortar location in Virginia, or an internet location in Virginia, or an internet location outside of Virginia, they will be subject to the same limits on their rates under existing law. That means that they are limited to a 36% interest rate on loans of up to $2,500. There's another bill that will address that. And that they are not subject to an existing rate limit on loans above $2,500. Everybody will be subject to the same law. Again, there's a level playing field. The third important thing is that this will give our office, the Attorney General, clear authority to go after someone, to bring an action against someone who is not licensed, but who should be licensed, who's making a consumer loan to individuals in Virginia. It will also give clear authority to the State Corporation Commission to license these individuals so that they have to apply by the same rules as the brick and mortar folks in Virginia. For all of those reasons, I encourage you to adopt the bill, and thank you for your time.
Okay. Others who wish to speak in favor? Those who wish to oppose the bill? I'm sorry. One more favor.
Mr. Chairman and committee, Kevin Maurer again with the Virginia Catholic Conference, representing the Catholic Bishops of the Commonwealth. We support this bill. We see it as a common sense measure to reflect the changing economy, and in the absence of action, the internet becomes a lawless place that plays by different rules than traditional commerce, and lacking effective regulation, the Commonwealth's vulnerable consumers may fall prey to more and more opportunistic lenders. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there any opposed to the bill? No one is opposed to the bill. Okay. You're opposite? You opposed to the bill, you just walk past?
I'm just walking past.
You want to stop the chat with us or something on the way?
Mr. Chairman, at this point, we don't have a position on the bill because of the timing here and the changes that have been made. As has been mentioned on several occasions, I'm Jeff Smith with the Virginia Financial Services Association. We represent the finance companies in Virginia. One of the problems that we got last year was mentioned that there were about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces of legislation introduced to try and control some of this outside lending activity. The consumer finance business has been here since 1918, providing installment, low interest rate loans to consumers. And now we're getting an intrusion from all different types of lenders to come in and try to capture the privileges under the Act, which the traditional lenders getting caught up under. We do recognize, as you look at the number of bills last year, you look at the number of bills this year that have come in trying to address some of these loopholes. Each one of them is going to be just a piecemeal, but not solve the problem. We would rather that these bills be put in some sort of a review during the interim so that we don't have to come back year after year with one piece here, one piece there. Senator Sasslaw has a bill. He's going to address one little aspect of it. And there's another concern that we have. So technically, what they're trying to do is bring forth some control under the internet lending and technology, but they're using analog to do it. Well, somebody else is going to use the open-end law, or they'll use the industrial loan law. And so my point is, we just can't get there unless we sit down separate from this legislative body session and come up with a solution. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Senator Reserve, you look confused.
Well, this bill doesn't have any changes in it. It's not a substitute or anything. And also, so I'm not sure if Mr. Smith was confusing with the last bill, but they've already taken action on it. Number one. Number two, I mean, I think this bill actually is trying to protect his clients. This is trying to keep these internet guys from coming in, and unregulated internet guys from coming in and stealing business that are legitimate licensed companies and doing for years. So that's all I'm saying.
Okay. Is there any discussion amongst the committee? Senator.
I moved to report. I just think that it's helpful to make sure that we regulate the internet like we do.
There you go. Been moved and seconded that the bill be reported. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay. Won't vote. Raise your hands if you're opposed. Higher. Okay. Thank you. Hey, got one out here. Good job. Okay. We're down to members. Senator Dance.
Mr. Chairman, I have three.
Three bills.
If I could start with Senate Bill 994 first.
If the committee would pay attention to 994.
Senate Bill 994 would authorize the State Corporation Commission to refund assessment overpayments to insurers and surplus line brokers without issuing a refund order. The measure conforms these procedures to other refunding provisions administered by the Bureau of Insurance. The bill comes at the request of the State Corporation Commission Bureau of Insurance. All other refunds processed by the SEC are done without the issuance of an order. This bill improves the efficiency of their process. It provides for greater flexibility as the Bureau updates its computer systems. The bill was shared with the industry back in the fall, and there is absolutely no opposition. If you have any questions, I also have Major the Bureau of Insurance here. Someone request to bring them into conformity.
Are there any questions for the paper? Is there anyone opposed to Senate Bill 994? Been moved and seconded, 994 be reported. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That bill is reported. Senator James.
Thank you, sir. Next order is 988. And Senate Bill 988 would eliminate the requirement of the Virginia Employment Commission to prepare population projections for the Commonwealth for use by the General Assembly and certain state agencies. The rationale for that, sir, is that the Department of Planning and Budget contracts for population projections and receives the appropriation to perform the task. And the Department of Planning and Budget notified the DEC in July that the statutory authority to perform this task remains with them and should be amended. Thus, the Department of Planning and Budget is in support of the bill. Valerie Braxton Williams with the Virginia Employment Commission is here. Should the committee have any questions? It says we can get the money without having to pay an additional fee with additional staff doing the same thing. It reduces the redundancy, and the money is there in the Department of Planning and Budget.
Thank you, Senator James. Is there any opposition to this fine bill? Seeing none, the committee operates by motion. Been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 988 be reported. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That bill is reported. Senator James, you want to try it for 3-3?
I saved the best for last. Bill 978 is that minimum wage bill. And, Mr. Chairman, being that a similar bill has been before you, the rationale has been addressed, you've heard from a lot of people, I would ask if you would kindly just note that mine would take you up to $15 minimum wage, and you just kindly tell me what your decision is.
If you didn't like the previous bill, you really won't like this one. And, so, committee operates by motion. We voted and seconded it.
Substitute motion.
Substitute motion.
Move the bill.
This is the bill that moves the minimum wage from current $15 an hour. Senator Lucas has substitute motion to be reported. Is there a second on that?
I saw Senator Sasswell
Senator, you want to
say something real quiet like I was. That's so, sir.
Senator James, you want to second the motion to report the bill?
I second the motion to report.
Okay. We have a substitute motion to report the bill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay. All those opposed say no. No. Okay, that bill fails to report. We'll reverse the vote without objection from the committee. Okay. CBI. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Senator James. What else is left? Senator Sasswell has to go by for the day. I will go by for the day. And Senator Norman is the next bill. Okay, all right. And that bill will go by for the day. I believe that completes the docket. I will tell you, for those that are watching, we're about
have to go by for the week.
about 20 through our docket. Those bills, so we're going to expect very, very long days. So thank you all again for your